Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on our next speaker. Now guys, when you guys see this man's face when he comes on, I want you to make some noise. If you know him, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat really, really fast. If you don't know him, I want you to drop a 2 in the chat really, really fast, because you're going to get to know him right here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring on my good friend Nik Robbins. Drop a 1 in the chat, let's make some noise.
What up, man? How are ya?
What's going on, Nick? How we doing? Drop a 1 in the chat, break the chat. Let's go, everybody, break the chat. Oh, we hear you, brother, we hear you. Woo!
Yeah,
everybody's
what
going
an
crazy.
Event, man. Look at this. This is amazing.
Wow. Nick, dude, I guess you know, you're famous, brother, because everybody was dropping ones.
Man, I was not expecting that. That's exciting. Well, good, because I'm about to share some stuff today that I've never shared anywhere outside of my private mastermind. So get excited.
Let's do it, man. What I'm going to do, Nick, is I'm going to let you take it away, brother. I'll be right here. I got you in my ear if you need anything, man. Take it away. Let's go. Make some noise. Break the chat. 1's in the chat. Let's go, everybody.
All right. What's up? What's up? First off, Chad, thank you so much for having this. I'm so excited to be here, guys. An agency-only event like this is exactly the type of event that I love to speak at, because I can share things that are specific to agency owners, because there's so much stuff out there in like e-commerce, coaching, all these different things that don't quite apply to people like us. So I'm going to share with you today. Let me share my screen real quick, and then we're going to go through it. The perfect pitch. I'm literally going to go through the exact process that I have used to close over 500 clients and generate millions in revenue. Sound good? Give me 1 if you think that's good. By the way, wherever you guys are, I know this is the early afternoon. I know that it's getting long. This is, towards the end of the second day. Sit up straight. The way you sit, the way you listen is how you're actually going to be able to go out there and retain information and go out there and implement. So with that being said, I'm going to jump in because I move quick. Now, before I go too much further, I want you guys to really take in what I'm about to share with you. Okay. And that is this. It only takes one idea is all it takes to really change your life. All right. I know that you guys have probably have like pages full of notebooks right now, ideas, concepts, you're all excited, but just understand, guys, even if you just take one thing away from this entire weekend, it's going to make everything worth it. So my goal with my presentation today is just give you that one idea, that light bulb switch that you can go out there, implement, use in your sales process, close more deals, and create the life of your dreams. So I'm going to make this very quick. I'm going to give you a 2-minute overview, although a lot of you guys did recognize my work, which is awesome. But really quick, 5 years ago, okay, I used to work in the NFL and the NBA. I was selling tickets, cold calling. It was a brutal job. I decided to quit my job in the NFL, moved to Tampa to start a marketing agency. All right. Prior to that, zero marketing knowledge, knew nothing, and was basically drunk a majority of the time. All right. Fast forward a year later. That year was brutal. If you are just getting started and you were struggling and you don't know what you're doing, that is okay. I had 1 full year of getting rejected, no clients, nothing. And it wasn't until I came across my life-changing idea from my man, Billy Jean. Give me a 1 in the box if you know Billy Jean. I'm sure most people do here. I love that guy. That's where I received my life-changing idea. And it was watching a conference just like this, okay? And as soon as I got that idea, from May 2016 to March of 2017, we went from $0 to $100,000 a month. And then since then, we've been doing multiple millions in revenue every single year. I've been doing this for a while now, and it's been consistent, and it's been for a long term, okay? And I'm gonna share with you guys exactly how we did that, all right? And then, so who am I, right? I'm the co-founder of BTOP Local. We work in the medical space with the marketing agency, sold over 500 local business marketing services. We've done $8 million plus in sales. There's a screenshot of one of our processors. That is strictly agency. That is not coaching, nothing else. That's only for my agency. And on top of that, I've coached hundreds of agency owners and coaches in the Agency Crusaders courses and mastermind programs. All right, two comma clubs. I've got an office. We've got, a team. I've spoken at masterminds. I've spoken in front of doctors, spoken on stages, all that fun stuff. Lots of testimonials, right? The reason why I share this with you is because this is an agency training for agency owners. All right, cool. So let's jump into the good stuff, okay? Because what I'm about to share with you, if you really pay attention, you take notes, screenshot slides if you need to, it's going to change the way you sell, and it's going to change the way, your agency exists. So before we get into that though, in order to craft the perfect pitch, we really need to sit back and go over a couple of things. All right. The first thing we need to understand is, what exactly is sales? You guys ever thought about that before? What is it exactly? All right. And the best definition I've ever heard is literally where, if you think about it, when somebody wakes up in the morning, they're in a current situation, right? Maybe our client doesn't have very many customers. Their desired situation is to get more customers, right? And there's a million different ways to do that. So what we need to do is sneak our product in here and have it be the vehicle that takes them from their current situation to their desired situation. All right. And the reason why we build a sales process is getting the customer to realize that it's our product is what they need to get to the future outcome that they desire. So always be thinking about it like that. What is the desired situation that my customer actually wants? Because, for example, they don't want chatbots. They don't care about your coolest pixel. They don't care about the nice AI. All they care about is, are you going to put more money in their pocket? Are you going to help them reach the goals that they want to reach so they can spend more time with their family? All right. Just in general, take it as a note. Marketers, almost all of you are probably talking way too much about the features of your product and not enough about the benefits, but we'll get to that. Okay. So I want to introduce you guys something that really will change your life in the way you view sales and setting up your sales processes and your scripts moving forward. And that is the PBG pattern. Okay, to create buyer capable customers. So what does that mean? All right, what does it take to create buyer capable prospects? This is what your entire sales process should be designed around. Okay, and there's 3 things that you really need to understand about your prospect and your market. First, you need to understand the pain points of the marketplace. Then you need to understand the limiting beliefs or false beliefs or whatever belief patterns they have around marketing or buying your services in the marketplace. And then you need to understand what the gains the client wants to actually get moving forward. Okay. Now I'm going to take a quick minute. I usually spend a lot of time on this, but niche down, guys. If you're not niching down, niche down. It is so important. You can skip so much time if you actually spend time in your niche. So let me talk about what PBG means. Okay. So I want to think about Amazon for a second. All right. If you think about it, Amazon literally just prints buyer capable prospects. Let's say that I want a new supplement. Well, I've already, got the pain point that I want to stay healthy, right? I already have belief in the type of supplement that I want. And I already believe that I'm going to get the end result that I want out of that. Okay. So that means I'm buyer capable. Does that make sense? Give me one in the box. I want to make sure you guys get that. We're going to talk more about this as we move forward, but you've got to understand this is sales. Okay. This is sales. This is what it is. You agitate the pains of your customer. And essentially you open the wounds, you get them to see what they're missing. And then you need to install new beliefs or destroy false beliefs around your product, your service, whatever that may be. Don't worry. I'm going to talk more in depth about this. And then we need to paint the future gain that they're going to get, AKA getting into that desired situation. Okay. And we're going to attack those 3 areas relentlessly during our sales process. I have giant lists of the pains, beliefs, and gains that I need people to believe going into the sales process because I know my market. So you guys need to really start thinking about that. All right. And I'm going to show you how to actually implement this here in a moment. But now that we know what makes people buy, what stops people from buying? What stops people from buying? What stops them from going to the current situation desired, right? So for example, we might be selling SEO to a plumber and he might believe, right, that the SEO is going to get him new customers. But if he doesn't have the pain, if he's making too much money, then he's not ever going to buy. We haven't agitated the pains. We haven't opened up enough where it's ready to move forward. On the reverse hand, he might actually be in pain. He needs new customers. He might actually believe that, your product is, or he might actually think that, he can get to that next level with new customers by using, SEO, but he might have a limiting belief factor around previous SEO companies that he's worked with that we need to attack. So you need to be very aware of all 3 of these pieces as you talk to your prospect, both at a macro level for the niche, because there's niche specific pains, beliefs, and gains, and then also on an individual level. Okay, because what we need to do is give them enough pain where the pain of not buying is stronger than the pain of buying. Okay, and so we need to agitate our pains throughout and then install or destroy false belief patterns and then paint the future gain. All right, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it. But let me know. I want to make sure you guys are connecting on that because, once you realize this is how you create buyer capable customers, this is how you design and build your sales processes. Okay, and I really want to talk about aggravating pain, because this is so critical. So many marketers that I watch and I coach and my salespeople, they will just sit there and they will move as quickly as possible to trying to demonstrate something that they're super excited about without actually figuring out where are the real pain points, where are the real issues that we're solving here, right? Because without enough pain, the process is never going to move forward. Okay. This is the main driver for people to do anything. All right. So we must understand it and we need to aggravate those pains. And sometimes we need to just literally ask some questions and go at them. I use the analogy all the time of we just need to take a knife and kind of stab them a little bit, right? In order to open them up, because that's what opens people up to actually make a change down the line. All right. Because without really putting people in pain, in their current situation, they're just never going to buy. Even if they think it's great, oh, it sounds great, it looks cool, but they're not in enough pain where the situation they're currently in, they're not actually going to take you to the next level. So you need to have an idea of the common pains of your market. Now, I'm going to get into this in depth here in a moment, but you've got to understand that the best way to incite pain is to ask very, very good questions. There's an amazing book out there called Spin Selling that talks about the importance of power of questions. I'm also going to be breaking them down here as well, but this is the main driver for us to actually aggravate pain, is to ask questions, because sometimes there's pain points that they don't even know what they are. They might just think, oh, I don't have enough customers. I don't have enough customers, but they don't know what the pain is in their process that's allowing them to not get enough customers. And I'll show you an example here in a moment. Now, before we get into the scripts, because I'm actually going to share with you guys the scripts. If you guys want those, let me know. Tell me if you want to go through the scripts. But what I want to do is, there's a limiting belief. There's a false belief pattern that every single person on here who is selling agency services to business owners, especially local business owners, needs to combat as they go through their sales process. And that is the distrust of marketers. If you guys have ever been on a phone with somebody and been like, just tell me how much it costs or get out, right? And you can just tell that there's this hostile sense from the business owner to the marketer. Let me know. Put a 1 in the box if you ever had a conversation with a business owner like that, right? Where you feel like they didn't trust you. There is just this massive distrust between both business owners and marketers. Because then marketers are like, oh, well, my niche is stupid. They don't call the leads. It's like, no, guys, we got to work together on this. So here's the thing, guys. Why don't businesses trust marketers? This is the biggest wall typically that you need to get over, and you need to build this into your process. And that's why I'm highlighting this specific belief pattern right now, because you guys need to build around this. Okay. So why don't they trust marketers? Well, maybe it's because marketers lie and sell pie in the sky, which we do sometimes, not always, right? Sometimes marketers literally generate 0 leads or don't actually deliver on the work. That happens. But the real reason why is the business owner did not get results in the past with his marketing efforts. Okay. That or his expectations were not met, but it all comes down to them not getting results. How many times have you guys talked to a business owner who's been with 7 marketing companies in the last 2 years and all the marketing companies sucked? And the business owner never thought to, hey, maybe I should look in the mirror. Let's talk about that. Okay. Because here is why the business owners didn't get results. And you guys got to understand this. If you are new and you haven't ran into this problem yet, I promise you that you will. You're going to run into a business owner who doesn't trust marketers, thinks all the leads suck. But this is what happens. Okay. Here's what happens when you run ads to a business or you generate them through SEO or whatever it might be, right? We've got the leads, and then this is where the leads go. It basically goes in like a flying pile of garbage that's been kicked around and torn down and broken down, which is how the lead handling process goes. And then on the back end, what you get is your leads suck. How many of you guys put a 1 in the box right now if you've ever had a business owner tell you that the leads suck? You got all excited because you're getting leads for like $2, and he's like, they all suck. They're all horrible. I bet you, I see the chat popping up. I'm not going to open it up right now, but I would bet money that you guys have all ran into this. Okay. So we need to tackle this, and we need to tackle it head on. And this is one of the most important shifts that I've made in the last 2 years in my sales process and taught people, that has completely changed the game and how we have conversations with our business owners and how more likely they are to close. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that here in a moment. Because here's the thing, guys. Here's what business owners believe is going to happen. This is a literal slide from my pitch deck that I give to doctors. I'm not afraid. I put this on here. I'm like, doc, most people believe that they just spend money and they're instantly going to get a 50 to 1 ROI. Okay. And that's ridiculous. But that's what most business owners see marketing as. Now, part of it is y'all's fault or our fault, right? Marketers are promising the world, oh, we're going to get all these results and leads, but no one's really being honest with them about what it actually takes to create a customer. All right. Because, for example, when the business owner says that the lead sucks, right? The leads suck, right? If you're ever on a call with somebody, again, we're going to go through a 7-step script here in a moment, but if you're ever on a call with somebody and they say, oh, my last marketing company, the leads sucked. I'm like, okay, at what point did the leads suck? Was the offer bad? Did the person not have interest? Did you not get a hold of them? Did you get a hold of them and they booked an appointment, but they didn't show up? Did you get a hold of them? They booked an appointment and they came in and they didn't buy? Like, at what point did it actually fall apart? And because in the business owner's mind, they're just like, the leads all suck. But really, they have no idea what their staff's doing. They have no idea if the person actually has any money. They have no idea how to sell, any of that stuff. So here is something I would take a screenshot on if I was all of you guys. If you start evolving your sales conversations, and I'm going to go over how to do a demo here in a little bit, but if you start evolving your sales decks to combine your product and how it's going to get new customers and educate the prospect on how new customers actually come in, it'll change your entire life, right? As soon as I started explaining to doctors, there's so much we have to do here. First, we have to attract, then we have to get the lead, and then we have to schedule, and then we have to run through a consult, and then we have to do a paid exam, and then we have to have financing, then we have to run report of findings, then we have to do all this stuff, right? Like, they need to understand that there's so many steps that go into it, especially if we're dealing with $1, $2, $3, $4, $5, $10,000 deals, right? And at any point, that person could leave. So we have to get even with these guys and make them understand that, look, guys, we're creating a license to print money for you here by building this cold traffic system. It's going to take some work. And I'm going to give you the questions to ask to get people to open up to this here in a little bit. And I promise you, every conversation you have with your prospects, they'll start looking at you in a different light, because our goal is to move from lead generator to business advisor and consultant. If they start looking at you differently than traditional marketers, and they look at you as someone who knows a little bit about their business, understands the life cycle of their customers, they're going to start treating you a hell of a lot differently. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Okay. That all makes sense. You guys good with that? That makes sense. Pains, beliefs, gains. You need to be paying attention to all of those things, right? And then you need to understand that we need to get over that distrust of marketers early and often. So let's talk about the perfect pitch process. So I run things in a 2-phase process, okay? And I have tried a lot of different stuff. I have done thousands and thousands of phone calls. We've done over 500 clients and 8 million in revenue. We've closed a lot of these deals, right? This is what I found works absolutely the best. Number one, we have a qualifying phase, okay? And I have a quote that I'm going to show you guys exactly what I mean by this in a little bit, but I love this, right? And I don't know exactly where this quote came from, but this is essentially my philosophy behind it. We don't tell the prospects they need us. We ask them questions to get them to realize they need us, right? I can't just go to a business owner and be like, yo, you need my product, right? We need to ask them questions to get them to realize they need us. And I'll show you how to do that here in just a moment. And then I run to a demonstration phase. Now, I know there are some people who do one call closes and don't use demo decks, and that's fine. Whatever works will work. I have found demonstrations and used to be so much better for long-term retention of the client and us being on the same page. I want them to know exactly the product they're getting, exactly how it's going to work, and exactly how it's going to solve all of their needs. All right. So I find it very important to share that with them. My closing rates have gone up, especially when I sell at higher ticket. Like we sell a $10,000 package to medical doctors right now on the front end. But I use that in order to sell higher, but then also get better compliance on the back end when they understand how everything that we are demonstrating and what our product's going to do is going to help solve their problems. Okay. So we use the qualifying phase to open up the pain, open up the gaps in their business. And then we use the demo phase to basically put the Band-Aid over it and heal the wounds that we opened on the qualifying phase. Now, this can be done in one phone call. No problem. If they're on a computer, if you don't rush them, awesome. Oftentimes we end up splitting it into 2 calls because, again, I go deep into the qualifying process because I want them to look at me differently. Because there was a time for several years at BTOP where we were selling 15 to 20 clients a month and our churn was just brutal, right? And it's because I was just skipping over this and going straight to demos and promising the world, right? We were probably losing 6 or 7 clients a month. Now we still made a lot and we had a lot of great successes, but our churn was out of control. So now I want them to look at me differently because I'm all about reoccurring stacking value, right? And we still close just as many by being honest and open with the clients. And then we can filter out those ones who are just in here for unicorn, 100 to 1 ROIs and expect that type of stuff. So that being said, let's jump in. All right. Qualifying phase. Almost everybody, again, I coach, moves too quickly on this phase. They're just trying to move so fast to a demo. We're so excited about our product. I get it. That's cool. But here's the thing. We need them to start looking at us differently. Even if they buy because you demoed them really well, if they don't see you as someone other than just a marketer, they're just going to be looking around for the next cheapest option that comes up. And then we're in a race to the bottom. As long as you are compared to other lead generators out there and you're just selling based on leads, it's a race to the bottom because someone's going to come in and do it cheaper. Promise you. And everyone's going out of business. So we need to get started with them on a completely different basis and get them to look at us as, partners and revenue growth partners. Okay. So back to what we've got here. So basically what we need to do is we need to figure out, agitate the pains on this one. And what we're doing on the qualifying phase is agitating the pains. We need to look for their false belief patterns that we're going to need to eliminate on the demo. And then we need to figure out what gain we need to push for them on the demo process as well. And I'm going to show you exactly how we do that. So there's 7 core steps. Don't worry, guys. We're going to go through this quickly. If you want a screenshot, awesome. At the end, I'm actually going to give you guys a resource so we can get the perfect discovery call process because I'm telling you, this is like the most important part. Okay. So 7 core steps, right? We don't tell them they need us. We ask them questions that will get them to tell us they need us. And obviously shut up and listen. This is when they talk. So phase 1, very basic, right? State the agenda. If you're not stating the agenda, you must. Okay. If you've ever been on a call where you're trying to ask questions or trying to do a qualifying call and they interrupt you and they're just like, you know what? Just tell me how much it costs or get out, right? chances are you didn't state an agenda, or you brought them on the wrong way, which is a whole different discussion, right? But chances are you didn't state an agenda. Just make sure you state an agenda. Just tell them, hey, I'm going to ask you questions about your business and goals. And then from there, you can ask me any questions you want about our program. And if it makes sense, we can talk about setting up a demo. Now, if you are doing one call, and that's fine. Again, I know people who do that. Then you don't need to say this line. But basically, you just want to introduce the idea of working together and how the call will run. Next question you want to do, what made you reach out to us? This is a really powerful question, right? And I love the framing of this because this basically reminds them that they reached out to us or they took the time to book a call with us. You might have been doing direct outreach or cold outreach. Doesn't matter. What made you reach out and book a call? They still took their busy time to be there. They're interested, okay? So assume nothing here, right? Don't just be like, hey, I want to get you more customers. Like, no, listen. Ask them questions, right? Sometimes you can literally get all you need from the statement. If you say, oh, my last 7 marketing companies suck and I need to find something that, actually works or whatever it might be. You can get a ton of information here. So open with this one. Then the next question you want to ask is, what are you currently doing? Have you tried to grow your business? And this is where you want to get very specific, okay? If they tried something, ask them how it went. What offers did they want? What were the results? This is where you can really start to incite pain, guys, right here, okay? Because when you start asking them something like, why do you think it didn't work? Okay, why do you think it didn't work? They're gonna be like, oh, well, all the leads were bad. It's like, okay, how do you know all the leads were bad? It's like, well, we didn't close it. I'm like, okay, so what was your response time on the leads? How quickly did you call them? How many times did you call them? Were they actual humans that were giving phone numbers? What was your CPA? What was your scheduling rate? What was your closing rate? And they're not gonna know shit on any of these answers, right? We need to call them on that stuff. Don't let your prospects get away with saying dumb things, okay? Because if they come in and say, oh, well, all the leads were bad, guess what? That objection, that's literally when they say that the last marketing company they worked with suck and all the companies they work with suck, like we need to spend time asking them questions on that. Because like I brought up earlier, that is the biggest false belief pattern that we are going to need to eliminate if we want to actually close the deal. Okay. So we just need to ask some questions, get really specific on it. Right. And then you ask them the other things. And this is more info gathering for you. How much did you spend? Have you ever ran marketing that worked? Right. And then here's a great one to incite pain. How long have you been dealing with inconsistent acquisition or revenue growth? Right. How long have you been dealing with this? And they're going to tell you, they're going to go on, oh, I've been trying things forever, blah, blah. And we can really start to see from that, what are their PBG? What are their pains around this? What are their beliefs? And then where can we sell the gain? All right. Every question I ask, well, I want to have that in mind. What's the PBG? Okay. The next question you want to ask, right? And again, this one is a lot for yourself and for creating, getting yourself information so that you can go out there and service them or make sure you can actually help them, right? What types of customers do you want? Why do they buy? Right? Why? And then just get specific. Why those types of customers? I'm a big fan of isolating the core customers they really want, especially if you're doing Facebook or Google ads, right? Just get really specific. Talk about how you solve the problems of your customers. Let them talk about how much they love their business. I'm telling you, we ask questions like this, your calls are going to go so much differently. They're going to develop a certain type of rapport. They're going to think that they know you at this point, right? And they're going to vent their passions and how much, hey, the doc down the street gets all the business, but I'm the one who can really help them. Like, yeah, well, we need to make sure that we get you all those patients that the doc down the street is getting right now, right? You can learn so much about these types of things. And you really want to be listening here, okay? Another question you want to ask, what do you charge? What are the margins? Right? I love asking people, so what are your margins after overhead? Nobody has any idea, right? What's the LTV of each customer? Another great question. How many new customers can you handle each month? Sometimes people they don't know what they want. Part of what we're also doing here is we need to get clarity and make sure we can help them. And we need to get clarity on what they want. So that way we can use our demo to actually show them what they, or show them how we're going to help them get to where they want to get to. All right. So that's step 4. Step 5, this is my favorite one, and this is the one that most people don't do. I don't care if you're brand new in a niche or not. You still want to ask these questions. You're a marketer. You should understand every phase of your customer journey for the prospect, the niche that you're working. Remember the patient journey I showed you earlier? You should understand that for every single niche that you're working in. But this is where you want to get very specific, okay? Because this, without question, like 99% of the time, we're going to figure out here why they failed before. Okay, why they failed before. When the doc says, and excuse me if I always use medical lingo, that's obviously what I've been selling for a long time. But when the doc says that all the leads were bad, right? This is where I can find out were they actually bad. And then I'm also getting him to start realizing, you know what, maybe he didn't have all the information on his previous marketing campaign. So here's questions I love to ask, right? What does the sales process look like? Who runs the consult? Who runs the closing process? What's the average closing rate? What's your CPA? Right? By the way, if anybody ever says they have a 90% closing rate on anything, you don't let that just go. All right. Because that's, even if you sell that client, it's going to be a horrible client. Nobody has a 90% closing rate on anything that isn't closing their grandmas or best friends, or they're just giving away their services and they need to massively charge it. All right. You need to understand what we're trying to do here is get them to realize there's a big difference between referrals and cold traffic. And we need them to understand that if we want them to close and retain with us longer. Because my goal in telling you guys to ask some of these questions isn't just to close more deals, which you will, because finally somebody's honest with this business owner. It's also going to drastically help your long-term retention, which is where the real power of an agency comes from, is being able to stack long-term recurring revenue and increase what that is so that we can buy more customers via ads and all that type of stuff, right? So who runs the closing process? What is the average schedule rate? What's the average show rate? What's the average response time? Nobody knows this answer to call new leads, which, by the way, quick tip, guys, before you get on your next qualifying call, secret shop, have the data in front of you. Fill out a contact form on their website. There's about a 50-50 shot they don't call you at all. And if they do, it's most likely going to be several hours of the next day. Okay. And understand that if you're driving leads to that business, that's how those leads are going to get handled. And it's going to be real tough for you to keep that client long-term. And I promise you, the fastest way to get gray hair, and I actually have gray hair at 32 years old, is to not take care of the lead handling process on the back end. All right. So other questions. How many times did you call the leads? What's your response time? Right. This is one of my favorites. When was the last time you listened to staff phone calls? They never do. So I'm like, so wait a minute, Doc, you're telling me that the leads were bad before, but you have no idea whether it was because they didn't schedule or it was because they didn't show. And you say they had no money, but you saw like 5 people out of the 100 leads, and none of those people actually ran to a financing app. You didn't listen to your staff's phone calls. You don't know what your response rate time was, even though Harvard's got a study that says you're 400% more likely to get a hold of somebody within 5 minutes. You don't have a confirmation process. And that's what the problem was. And that yet the leads were bad. Right. And again, I'm not telling them anything. This is where that idea of you ask them questions to get them to realize they need you. My goal when I ask these questions is for that individual to be laying awake that night being like, why the hell don't I know what my staff's saying on these calls? Why don't I know any of this stuff? Why didn't any marketer tell me about these things ahead of time? Right. Maybe it wasn't the last marketing company, or maybe it is my fault. Right. Our goal here is to get them to realize that this is a partnership, guys. Like they need to do work, and you need to get them to realize they need to do work. Because if you just go out there and sell unicorn leads, yeah, you'll close some deals eventually, but your churn is going to be miserable and you'll churn out. Most agency owners don't ever make it past like 10K, and they lose a couple of clients and it's off, right? So we need to get them to understand this. Plus, it'll get them to open up to you. They're thinking differently, right? Some other questions. How many options do you have for financing? What is your upsell and cross-sell processes, right? And again, you don't even need to know the answer to all of these or what they should be. You just ask the question. Right? What percentage of patients complete your treatment plans? Nobody knows this. And I'm like, how are you supposed to buy patients if you don't know this stuff? Right? So they don't know these things. And we ask them these questions to get them to realize that there's more to this game than just putting up a lead and making a boatload of cash. All right. You don't even need to solve all of these problems. It'll help. The more of these that you can solve, the better. Hint, hint. Get to know your niche and build around this stuff. But I understand if you're brand new in a niche, you're not going to be able to know what the best sales process is, and that's fine, right? But you can help them with scheduling more leads. You can help them with training staffs. You can help them with using things as softwares and things like that to get in touch with leads faster and help them have automated follow-ups and all those types of things. Because here's what happens. If you get them to realize that their staff and their response time was the problem, how helpful would it be if you said, hey, I've got a software that solves all that. We text immediately. We voicemail drop immediately. We'll robo dial you, right? That's how you can start selling more services. So it really opens up these wounds that you can then heal on the demo process. All right. And then the 6th step that we need to go through on this is, where are you revenue-wise and where do you want to go? Okay. We need to be comfortable asking the business owner how much they make. I get it. If you're brand new, this is probably going to be one of the questions that's really nerve-wracking for you. That's okay. But if they won't talk money with you, then you're never going to be a good partner regardless, simply because you're revenue partners now. We're not just lead generators. Okay. We need to know what's our goal. Where are we at right now? Where do we want to go? We need to be able to define what winning is. Okay. There's been times where I've had clients, okay, earlier on in my career where literally I got him a 7-to-1. I saw that and I was like, yeah, I got on the phone all excited. And they're like, yeah, we expect 10-to-1 for our marketing. Sorry, we're going someone else. And I was just like, are you serious? You got a 7-to-1. What are you talking about? Right? Let me know in the box if you ever had somebody who actually got good results and said it wasn't good enough. Okay. And you're just blown away by it. Okay. It's crazy. Things will happen. So, and that then leads me to the next point. This is where we find out if their expectations are insane. There's people that I talk to, they're like, yo, I'm making, 20K a month and I want to make $1 million a year. I'm like, okay, so you want to go from 20K or they're making 20K a month. They want to make 100K. So I'm like, okay, you want to go from 20K to 100K. You realize that's an extra $800,000 in revenue per year, correct? Right. So this is when we start calling them out because people just say things like, oh, I want to go from 20 to 100K. And I'm like, you realize it's $800,000 a year. And I'm like, okay. And so your average marketing company, we usually spend about 10% of marketing. So you'd be okay spending $80,000 if you were able to get to 100K. Then be like, yeah. And then boom, then you just anchored a price point as well. That's a whole advanced topic. I'm not going to go down that, but that's a great way to call them out on their expectations and get them to realize what they're doing. All right. We need specific data points. Okay. So we can get clear and we can use this on the demo process. Remember, this whole idea is to open up the wounds and then we heal the wounds on the demo, showing how our product is going to take them to the next level. Okay. The last couple of things we need to figure out, what are their motivations? Not everyone wants to, be Jeff Bezos and take over the planet, right? Some people just want to spend more time with their family. Not everyone wants to open up more businesses, more practice, whatever it is. But we need to understand what these are so that we can re-bring these things up as we get closer to the close on the demo. We need to know what their motivations for growth are. Why do they want to grow? How motivated are they to move right now? Another great question is, how committed are they actually growing business and why? Why are you committed now? It's been 4 years of inconsistent revenue. Why now? We need to find these things out. We need to ask the questions. Chances are the client might not even know. So we're getting clarity for them by asking these questions. And then the next thing is, what do you think the biggest hurdles are? Usually we've already kind of identified that because they've already told us all the issues they have with marketing companies and all that type of stuff, right? So these are the big things that we want to end the call with is step 6, right? And you want to do this in a linear fashion. Every single one of these steps is set up in specific order. You don't want to skip these things around because if you go straight for how much money do you make and where do you want to go at the very beginning, you're going to get a click because you haven't built any rapport. You haven't built any trust yet. All right. So that's why we're gradually building up to the more personal questions. It's more comfortable for you. It's more comfortable for them. Right. Next thing we want to do is transition to the demo. Okay. And here's just a very quick quote on that. I say, well, based on our discussions, we can absolutely help you reach your goals with our program. We work with businesses exactly like yours. We know the struggles and pains you face. What I'd love to do is set up a time for us to chat. And if you've got time right there, just get into it right then and there. Okay. So I'm going to be very quick on that. Now, the next thing I want to go over. Okay. At this point, we move them to a demo. And as I've been talking about this entire time, we need to know what their pains, we need to know what their beliefs that we need to crush are. We need to know what the gains. So at this point, we need to design a demo that eliminates all objections ahead of time. All right. I think it was JR who was talking about your entire marketing process from A to Z should be designed to eliminate objections up front. And this is why it's so powerful for you to know your niche, know exactly who you're talking to. All right. And so that's how you want to design your pitch deck. Now, I don't have time to go through every single slide on my pitch deck, but what I want to share with you is a concept that I kind of put together by learning from some of my mentors and some of the best, Russell Brunson, Alex Becker, some of the people that I've worked with personally and, I'm doing live webinars and selling one-to-many. And I was like, wait a minute, why don't we do a one-on-one webinar presentation to an individual and be able to isolate their pains and customize it for them? And guess what? Ever since we launched this, it has been unbelievable. And the people I've shared with this, we've been able to double our pricing, increase our closing rates, increase retention, constantly hearing things like this is the best presentation I've ever seen. So here's a 5-step process for that. And I'm going to go through it really quick because I know that my time is coming up. But number one, you want to have a big promise. Okay, I'm just going to quickly tell you what ours are as well. $20,000 a month to your practice without increasing overhead, overwhelm, or expenses, right? We're going to have $20,000 a month in the next 90 days. Then you have testimonials, results, proof if you have it. If you don't have testimonials and results, do anything you can to get testimonials and results. They are what sell in today's day and age. Do anything. Go out, get them. Okay. Then an origin story. I think it's important to tell people why you do what you do. People want to know that, right? So I tell this whole story about how our new product was built after, years of struggle with other practices and how we had huge client churn. And now we don't anymore because we've been working on our product for 4 years. It's born out of this forge. And also I'm passionate about helping the people in my niche because I've lost people to painkillers and we help people get off painkillers, right? So I tell them about who I am, right? Because we're going to be working together, hopefully for the long term. I want them to get an idea of my business, what I'm doing, right? And then the most important part, right, is a 3 to 5 step process showing how your product gets them customers, okay? And it plugs the holes that we opened up on the Q call. I'm going to go through my core 4. I use 3 to 5 because I've used them all, right? I always productize my service. I give it a name. I have it say it has steps. Right now, it's got the core 4. Step number 1 is patient profitability and margins, right? So we're going to increase our margins, make them more money. Step number 2, we're going to attract qualified leads using custom campaigns and customized copy. Step number 3 is we're going to train your staff and host weekly calls with role plays and give you ultimate draft scripts. And we're going to have an automation to follow up so you can schedule your process. And then step number 4 is we're going to coach you and train you with our 8-figure clinic director on how to actually close more patients and close more deals every single week in our consulting. right? Notice how every single one of those logically fits in order to actually close more customers. As I'm walking them through the process, they can see in their mind how it's going to get them more customers. I also constantly hold up the customer journey and I point out how what I'm doing is going to help at every single customer journey that on the qualifying call, we just identified as steps that they are missing to actually closing the customer. Okay, that customer journey picture is critical. We need to tie our product and service into getting them more customers, right? And then I actually use a value stack and a close. I just basically recap everything that we've got, and then we drop the price on them, all right? So that's the 5-step one-on-one webinar demo. I can go in deeper on that if you guys message me later. There's other spots where I can share more, but this thing works like crazy. And the whole point for it is to finish up and heal the wounds of your Q call. All right. And the last thing I want to share is we are sitting on a goldmine opportunity right now. Okay, guys. And the only thing stopping you from where you want to go is you. Turn off the news, turn off the media. Myself, so many people I know who are focused on business, focused on growth, are actually taking their business to the next level. I know it's a crazy world right now. I know there's a lot going on, but let's focus on what we can control, which is ourselves, our clients, our businesses, and realize, guys, that you guys just spent 2 days and watching all this stuff, but knowledge isn't power, okay? It's potential power. Execution is the only thing that matters. Okay. Massive action is the cure all. So go out, commit to yourselves that you're going to make a change, go out and do something different. And that's what I got. I got right here. If you guys want to find some more stuff for me, I don't know where we're at time-wise. I think I'm right at 35. But if you guys want to grab the roadmap, everything I just went through, it's at crusadernation.com/roadmap. And then you guys can also check out on YouTube channel here where I go through and talk in depth about all the concepts I brought up over here.
Love it.
That being said, I don't know if we got question time or if I'm good or if I went overwood, but Chad, you're the man.
Make some noise. First of all, everybody make some noise. Drop a 1 in the chat. Hey, Nick, can you stop sharing? Yeah, we can go side by side. Drop a number 1 in the chat. Make some noise. Break the chat. Let's go, everybody. Somebody in the chat said, while you were talking, said, Chad, you could keep the $17. This shit was so fire. So, that shit had me, we were laughing back here. Guys, wow, okay, first of all, I just keep getting blown away. Like, we keep having speaker and speaker and speaker, and this shit keeps stacking and getting better and crazier. It's about to get even crazier because we have another legend who's about to come on here in a minute. First and foremost, Nick, before we close you out, brother, where can people, what was that link again? Can you say it in case we got to say it later on?
Yeah, it's this www.crusaderwithak.com/roadmap.
There we go. Michael Holt dropped it in the chat. Perfect. You guys can just click on that link. You'll steal his roadmap.
Yep.
And all right, Nick, thank you so much, dude.
Dude,
that was incredible, brother.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chad. You're the man, a legend for putting this thing on. Everyone else, hope you guys have a kick-ass day and weekend.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Thank you so much.